demonstrate?
Well, let me say, first of all, thank you for having me. And also, I want to salute my friend Rose, the first Black woman in the Church of England as a bishop, the Bishop of Dover. Really, this is just very, very typical of her power and of her wise words and of her activism in religion and in society. So really, congratulations and salute her. She's a beautiful role model. Um, I think one of the things is because we saw this murder. We're all human beings, and we saw this, and we knew this was wrong. And I think what it did was release in everybody of goodwill, the feeling that this is enough. I grew up in Chicago. I was born and raised in the United States, and this is not an unusual thing to happen to, particularly a Black man. But now in this age, we can see it. When I was in the streets in '68, we knew things, but we couldn't see them. But now we can, and that's what's important. One thing I want to gently disagree with Rose. I think that why revolutions fail, and particularly why my generation couldn't extend what we did, is because we forgot that taking down a statue is a political act. But we have to have a cultural act after that because we human beings make culture. And I understand that the Colston statue is in a museum now, and they are discovering not only what the statue was made of, they're discovering the workers who made the statue. They're looking at the artifacts that have made on the statue at the moment of taking it down. And these are teaching tools. That's why I'm in the studio of my friend, the artist Lanre Olagoke here, because it is culture at the end of the day which extends revolution. And we have to have a cultural act. And I'm associated with museums too, and museums now must have a cultural act. That act involves not only displaying and taking in Black Lives Matter artifacts, because now these are cultural icons as well, so that future generations can know that it happened. Because believe it or not, there will be a time when some young person will be walking down the street in Bristol and, instead of seeing the beautiful statue of Dorcas Howe, which will be there, you'll say, well, actually, that used to be a statue of a slaver there. And they say, Mommy, that's wrong. I don't believe it. So you take them somewhere, you teach them, you show them. You have to extend revolution, political acts with acts of culture. It is extremely important. And museums, in the first line of that, have to step up to the plate and do acts of culture. And I think many of them are ready to do it.
It's interesting because it does feel like the statues have been a flashpoint, whether the statues that we saw in Bristol, for example, or the desecration of the Churchill statue in Westminster. Are you worried that this is becoming a distraction that some people, particularly when it comes to the Churchill statue, feel very strongly against?
This goes back to my point. Statues are cultural icons. They are acts of culture. They're not only political acts, they're acts of culture. And in going to a statue, and I don't condone defacing or taking down statues, is not what I would do. But I understand why people do what they do, because you see a statue. We saw a murder. You see a statue. We're human beings of senses. That's what we are. And so we have to actually extend that political act and make it a cultural act. It's not enough to be in the street. It's not enough. We were in the street. What is next has to happen is that we have to make culture, we have to extend culture, we have to talk culture, because that's what lives. That's what guarantees. That's what enshrines what we do. And I love these activists, majority of them, because they are actually, first of all, they're leaderless, which I think is the most powerful statement they can be. We don't need any leaders for this. And also at the same time, they are making culture as they move. Let's preserve it, because there will be people behind us. Let's make it. Let's talk about it. Let's show it so that we can talk not only to our own time, but to the time after this. Because if we don't, those statues will be erected again. because people will forget.
Thank you very much for being on the programme, Bonnie Greer. A very interesting take from you on what we've seen in recent weeks. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will make America great again.